Okay, we are going to create a new workflow to enable us to add multiple VM stores at one time. Here you can see we have add VM store, and we can see the inputs. We've got the name, which is just the VM store's name or IP address, a username and password. So this only gives us the ability to add in one at a time. So let's create a brand new workflow, and let's call this add multiple VM stores. And now what we can see for the schema is that we can add in a Foreach element. So let's drag this over and let's look for add VM store. So this is the workflow that we want to iterate through. We can see up here that we can add in an activities parameters. So let's do that. We're going to hit setup here, and we're just going to bring over pretty much everything: name, username, and password, the same values we saw on the workflow. So let's hit promote. All right, so now that we have the inputs here, let's look at these. We can see we've got the name, username, and password. Well, first we want to change this so it's more clear that this is going to be multiple VM stores. So we've changed the name of that parameter, and we can see that it's going to be an array. The thing is, we don't want a username or password to be an array, so we're going to change that. Let's go back to the schema, and we're going to look at this for each loop. We can see the arrays to be traversed. We've got multiple. Well, we only want the VM stores to be traversed, so we're going to uncheck username and we're going to uncheck password. This now lets us go and modify the values under the inputs to be just a string and just a secure string. So here we can choose type, we choose accept, it's now changed and it's no longer an array. Same thing for the secure string. Now we need to go back to the schema and modify this workflow and bind these parameters. So here we can choose username, and then for password we're going to choose the password. And now we can hit close. Now, one thing to note here is that we don't want the whole entire workflow to fail if there's an exception. So let's create a binding. So let's set this up so that we're going to log if something fails. So let's do system.log, and let's say could not set up. And what we're going to do is give a variable of the name, which is right here. And so what we can do is click in this and click on name. And so now we're going to know if anything breaks. We've now logged that we could not set up that system without causing the whole entire workflow to fail. So we can hit close here, and let's hit validate on this. And we can see that the workflow is valid. And let's save and close it and create a new version. We want to add multiple VM stores, so we're going to start the workflow, and we need to add in all of the different VM stores that are going to be part of this array. I will speed up the video so that you don't have to watch me type all of these in. Okay, now that we've submitted it, we can see the workflow running through, running multiple times, and it's actually already finished. So now we're going to go into the inventory and go and make sure that we've added in all of the VM stores. And here we go. All of those VM stores were added in at one time rather than each time manually.